Voting is an opportunity for voices to be heard. It's one of our most important freedoms. Voting isn't just a right, it's a privilege, and the power to speak up and choose people that represent your values and beliefs. KCAT TV is proud to present Coffee&Candidates, one-on-one interviews to introduce candidates running for council in Los Gatos and Monte Sereno. Let's welcome our host, Dr. Larry Gerston.
Hi, I'm Larry Gerston. Let's have coffee with the candidates. Come on in. Welcome to Coffee&Candidates, brought to you by the Los Gatos Community Foundation, the Tour Factory, and the Los Gatos Coffee Roasting Company. Also, let's not forget, we're here in the KCAT studios, and of course we couldn't have done it without our sponsors or KCAT, so we thank them all. With us today we have Michael Kane, who is running for one of the two four-year seats, yes. Correct? One of, I believe, 5 candidates running for the four-year seats. And it's probably known to some of you. If you ever go to Jazz in the Plaza, it's Michael who will stamp your hand. I know that a few times. It's happened to me. So tell us more about you than that.
Oh, Larry, I've lived in Los Gatos for over 40 years, I think. I raised my children here. I have a 38-year business, successful financial management in Los Gatos. Mm-hmm. So I know about businesses in Los Gatos. I've been in the chamber for 20 years maybe. Town government-wise, I've served for 8 years on the Planning Commission, 2 of those as chair. And that includes all the other committees, CDAC, the Advisory Council for the General Plan, those committees. Oh, and 8 years important on the Historic Preservation Committee. So I know, the civilians' knowledge of land use law, although it's not land use law, but we deal with the standards and guidelines for protecting the hillsides, standards and guidelines for residential, historic, and commercial. A couple of those documents have my name on them because I've been around long enough, I helped write them. Mm-hmm. Activity-wise, I've been on the board of the hospital, governing board member of Los Gatos Community. Mm. I went into surgery, I scrubbed up. I was also on the board of the Los Gatos Morning Rotary, got the award for Rotarian of the Year. I was on the board twice for the Chamber of Commerce and got the Business Person of the Year. Less glorious, but no less important, I was home plate umpire for Bobby Sox softball and a stroke and turn judge for 12 years for the Bellwood swim team, and I lived in Bellwood. I know my town, I know the people, and as you said, for 12 years I was the door guy at Jazz in the Plaza. I know the town, I love my town.
That's wonderful. Planning Commission, that can have some sticky fingers all over the place. It's so controversial for some people because the Planning Commission really kind of sets the tone for what the council will or will not do, dealing with some tough issues. Tell me the one of the toughest problems you ever had to deal with in the Planning Commission.
Oh, there's not enough time.
Give me one.
Well, the biggest one was North 40, and I think we denied it twice. And it was not enough open space, not enough affordable housing, and, well, prior to our decisions, many people had spent years and years developing a proposal-specific plan for the North 40, and the result was disappointing. As I said, open space, affordable housing. It went to council, and council denied it. They took them to court, and the court ruled that if we're going to deny the problem, it has to be based on objective standards, not subjective standards. And that's a tough ruling to live with. I think of the Supreme Court, 15, 20 years ago, Supreme Court Justice said, I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it. Yep. I think there's room for subjective standards, and if elected, I'll try and pursue that and firm them up with the town attorney, because some of our subjective standards deals with the charm and the character and the hillsides, and a lot of those don't lend themselves to numbers. Yeah. So what happened when the court ruled, the council, I then think, didn't see a way out, and the majority voted for the plan. Now let's understand the plan. I don't want to get too detailed, but what was decided was essentially the South 20 of the North 40. To be decided is the North 20 of the South 40. And there's a specific plan for that, but there haven't been any developments, hearings, progress. And I might get on town council in time to help decide that. Again, open space, affordable housing.
So this is exactly where I want to go. Tell me why you want to be on the town council.
Council has taken a direction that a lot of citizens thinks needs to be brought back. It needs to be brought back to the standards and guidelines of the 4 documents I mentioned earlier. I have that experience. I think Planning Commission is indeed a prerequisite to town council. Why start at the top when you can learn your trade at an important body like the Planning Commission? Planning Commission is a quasi-judicial body. It adjudicates the cases. And either we can decide some, which can be appealed, or we can recommend to town council. What happened when I was on Planning Commission, and may still be happening because people are not happy, we sent a unanimous decision to town council, 7 planning commissioners, and it gets overturned. And that's the kind of thing I would like to take. I'd like to be in a position to look hard and prevent that kind of thing. I'd like to be in a position to provide Planning Commission with a bit more authority.
When you say the town has gone too much in one direction, you want to pull it back. What do you want to pull it back from? What do you want it to be instead of the direction it's going?
Development.
So has there been too much development? Has there been wrong development?
No,
it's
sir.
a big word.
No, sir. There's been development inconsistent with the standard and guidelines. Some compromises here and there. We've got good words, strong words to protect the town, and I would like to put life back into them before they go away. And that's just one concern on development. But there are other concerns. Unfunded liabilities. It's a nightmare. It's a Godzilla on the other side of the hill that's coming up and nobody knows it's coming yet because it is a state-mandated financial question where we've got to send money to fund the unfunded liabilities that the state has. And there's no easy way out of that except to have close contact with our state assembly and state senator people to understand what's going on in Sacramento. Unfunded liabilities is one concern. Another concern is called housing element, where RENA sends down numbers to the communities in California on the houses they have to provide. Well, Los Gatos is a built-out town. I'm not sure that we know where to put those houses once we get that number. The RENA number has to go into the housing element inside our general plan. And I think what's happened in years past is there's been some negotiation with Sacramento over that number, and we've always managed to accommodate it. But we're built out, and it's not going to be easy.
What about the idea of ADUs or something like that?
I'm a proponent of ADUs. You've got land, you've got some land. The ADU, what is it? Accessory Development Unit. That's a good idea, and we should, when we have a large homestead house with land, that could be more of an expedited process, where it's a no-brainer. And for the rest, we take a hard look and listen to the neighbors. Listening is a big part of what I'd like to be talking about, what I intend to do. We need to listen more. We need to engage our people more. I'm going to hold office hours, and people can come in and tell me what they think. But ADUs, I don't see the downside to them.
What else would you like to see changed in the house or in the town, or at least go back to where it was?
Let me say first that the issues of today are not the issues of yesterday. Issue number 1, 2, and 3 is the pandemic. And as that relates to economic vitality, our businesses are suffering. This would be my first concern. Not just the downtown district, which is important, but the other 5 business districts that may not be getting all the attention they need right now. And beyond business, economic vitality applies to each citizen. A lot of people are sequestered in their houses. They're scared. I think there should be more outreach with our social services.
Let's talk about downtown businesses for a second, especially the restaurants, which we know are hurting particularly when it comes to the businesses right now. What do you think about the idea of spreading out onto Santa Cruz Avenue, particularly that street, because that's where so many of them are? I realize there's some on Main Street and other places, but a predominance, or we see it there. Is that a good idea? Do you like that idea? Is it feasible to continue that way,
well,
as long as we're dealing with COVID?
The parklets that we have are really saving the businesses. And there's been a move afoot, a discussion of increasing the width of our sidewalks. How that would affect parking and how many lanes of traffic, I don't know. There's been traffic studies. I don't know if any of them are at a stage to be implemented. We tried one way, that didn't meet with a roar of approval.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in increasing the size of our sidewalks, increasing the parklets, providing financial assistance, and making them permanent and making them attractive. Get rid of the World War II bunkers and put in something that looks good. I think it's a no-brainer.
Does that create a parking problem?
Parking problem. I'll tell you a story.
Tell you what, hold on the story, because we're going to take a moment to break.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you won't forget. We want to listen for a moment to Sharon Childs, who is the head of the Los Gatos Community Foundation. Sharon.
Thanks, Larry. Hi, I'm Sharon Childs, Los Gatos Community Foundation president. I'm here in Oak Meadow Park by a historic bandstand gazebo where our history started in 1991. We fund local nonprofits for projects that they do to enhance our community. We also give out community service scholarships to our seniors at our 3 local high schools. The Los Gatos Community Foundation is proud to be sponsoring this Coffee and Candidates series.
Welcome back. You're with Coffee and Candidates, and particularly you're with Michael Kane, who is a candidate for one of the 4-year seats in the Los Gatos Town Council. We were in the middle of talking about parking, everybody's favorite topic when it comes to downtown, and I asked you, will more parklets and businesses on Santa Cruz Avenue create a parking problem, a greater parking problem? And you were going to tell me a story.
Yeah, I was going to tell you a story.
Okay.
Years ago, we were talking about parking and the term parking problem. And Mike Wasserman said, there's no parking problem. There's a problem with not wanting to walk 1 or 2 blocks. We have ample spaces in the back, down off of Highway 9. Those lots are, I've never seen them full. By the back, I mean, you know, behind
the theater?
No, well, there's parking behind the theater. I mean, on the other side of the street, we have all that parking space in the back, yeah. and we have the underground parking.
Yep.
For a long time, people have been talking about a parking structure. I'd like to see that move forward, because it's been, 10 years, and there's no activity. And I think that wouldn't hurt at all. But the zoning requirements, I think, need to provide for dwelling units. So we'd have apartments up on top, and that could be affordable senior housing.
Mixed use.
Mixed use. That's what's required.
And where would it go?
Behind Pizza My Heart.
Okay.
Over by St. Mary's.
Yeah.
That's one location that's been discussed. Others have been discussed, but I always thought that was a good location.
And that 2 birds with 1 stone, that you provide parking and also low-cost housing.
Yes.
Ah.
Good idea.
Okay. We've got a couple of big ballot issues, measures A and B. And I'd like to get your thoughts. I'm particularly interested in A, because of course that deals with the proposed Finance Commission, and you've been on commissions. And so I'm certain you've got some feelings about how that new structure might work should it pass. And should it pass?
Let me first say this about initiatives. Initiatives are things that are going to be decided by the people. As a candidate, I'm not comfortable with suggesting how people should vote on an initiative. What I'm comfortable with is seeing how they voted and then making the best of it.
Would you say how you intend to vote?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Ah.
The Finance Commission is a result of some talented, concerned citizens not getting what they wanted after many long periods of time to try and get more teeth into the Finance Committee. And when that didn't move forward, you have an initiative. And the initiative is, it takes the decision out of the hands of town government and puts it in the hands of the people. And when the people decide what they want to do with that, I'll react accordingly.
Shouldn't people have a say on what to do about their local government?
Absolutely.
But you think it should be done through elections?
Through elections and through elected officials. But when those officials don't do what the people want, the remedy is an initiative. That's unfortunate, but it's a reality. And sometimes a good one.
Okay. Let's talk about Measure B. Okay.
Term limits. Many towns around us have term limits. And I'll take the same position. It's an initiative for the people to decide. Whatever they decide, I'll live with. Term limits have some good points, and sometimes you could lose really good people. So the people need to decide what they want to do on, 8 years?
Yes. Then off for 4. If you want to come back, you take 4 years off, and then you can run after that.
That's a good point. You're right.
Yeah. So I'll ask the same question. Setting aside what you'll deal with what the people say, how would you vote on term limits?
Haven't made up my mind yet. Is that a good?
You're running out of time, man. You got 7 weeks. That's a fine
I'm
answer.
very interested to see what the people want to do. If they want 8 years, that's what we'll work with. Make the best of it.
Okay. Let's talk about money. Continue talking about money, which comes in and out of this whole discussion. We're in a problem in California, as you know. You deal with finance all the time. COVID-19 has cost this state I forget how many billions of dollars revenue, $40 billion, I think it is.
To make the point, I just say gazillion.
Okay, that works. And of course, a good deal of the state's money, not all, but a good portion of it goes back to cities and counties, towns and counties. Do you see Los Gatos suffering financially from COVID-19 because of the inability of the state to dole out money it might have otherwise? And if you do, how should it be dealt with?
Yes, I do see us hurting, if that's the question. It's not just businesses, it's ordinary citizens who are afraid to go out, and that creates economic shortfalls. That's the consumer, not consuming. Look, I listen to Dr. Fauci as much as anybody, and I listen to Dr. Cody as much as anybody. We need to comply with what they're telling us we have to do to beat this virus. The favorite phrase right now is, until there's a vaccine. Well, until there's a vaccine, nothing is going to be normal.
But at the same time, why we need to comply until there's a vaccine and all those important things, we're talking about a revenue shortfall, okay, that hits the state hard. And because it hits the state hard, the state doesn't have the amount of money it gave out last year to towns, cities, counties, for all kinds of services. So what's to be done? Is it a matter of tightening the belt and cutting back the civic payroll? Is it a matter of adding fees? Is it a matter of raising sales taxes? This problem is going to hit everybody pretty quick.
Yep. Let's talk about transparency as a way to answer the question. When you've got a dilemma like we have, and it's going to get bigger, it would be real smart to have as many people involved in those solutions as possible. So transparency for me is a very active verb. They need to know what the town council is doing. They need to know what the planning commission is doing. And as we find a medium to reach out to them with this information, so in turn would we engage them and get them to come in. And in the old days in Manhattan, Larry, they talked about the 200, the alleged 200 people that ran the whole town. In Los Gatos, with tongue-in-cheek, I say we got the 50. And what I'd like to have is the 30,000.
So
these are not going to be easy decisions when it comes to this finance.
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm only trying to summarize what I think I'm hearing. And what I think I'm hearing is you saying something, before we do anything, we need to get a lot of public input.
Yes.
Through a series of maybe local meet and greets, or where people go out and talk with you and others at not just the evening meetings at town council. So many people are limited from that, but other designated times.
Yes.
Okay. And from there you would take their suggestions, concerns, and try to mold some sort of appropriate policy.
Not only that, but when they have some ownership, when they understand how difficult it's going to be in the future, you can find more support for people who know what's what, as opposed to people who are not informed and they go, well, these guys just keep. No, I would like to have an inclusive engagement with more people in town, because we're going to be facing some large problems, and the more they know about it, the better.
Last quick question. We were talking about the North 40, the South 40, the West 40, the South 20 of the North 40. I mean, it's hysterical. You know, the builder wants to get rid of that underground parking structure, 127 cars. What's your thought about that?
I like what the Planning Commission is doing. They're being very prudent. They've made additional on-sites. They're looking into where's that parking going to go if that structure is not there, and they're looking at why eliminate it in the first place. The South 20 is a done deal.
Okay.
And I think that's the way it should be. I don't see the merit in eliminating that parking. It'll put parking on side streets, communities. It could affect the decisions being made on the North 20.
Okay.
North 20 is going to be interesting to watch.
Yes, it
because
will.
there's a specific plan, but there are many choices that we can make in that specific plan. It's not a done deal. It's outlined, but it's going to be interesting.
And you're going to ask people to put you on that city council so that you can make some of those decisions.
That's right.
All right. Michael Kane, candidate for one of the four-year seats at the Los Gatos Town Council. Thank you so much for being with us today. And this concludes another session of Coffee and the Candidates. See you soon.